concession. On Thursday, Ukraine saw one of its biggest airstrikes by Russia. Meanwhile, Russia says no meeting will happen with Zelensky unless an agenda is agreed upon. Prime Minister Netanyahu says Israel is ready to talk with Hamas to pause fighting and free hostages, but at the same time, Netanyahu has approved Israeli troops pushing deeper into Gaza City. The White House has been discussing a ceasefire plan, one Hamas accepted. Israel, though, has rejected the deal on the table. The FBI has searched the Maryland home of John Bolton, President Trump's former national security advisor. It's part of a classified information probe tied to Bolton's 2020 book, where he talked about his time in office under Trump. The Trump administration tried but failed to block the book's release. Bolton, once a White House insider, is now one of Trump's sharpest critics.
Net impact on the Americans because of our trade with India. Well, let's think about it. They have higher tariffs, there are Maharaja tariffs, higher non-tariff barriers. We run a massive trade deficit with them, so that hurts American workers, hurts American business.
Calling India the Maharaja of tariffs, U.S. President Donald Trump's trade advisor Peter Navarro has accused India of running a profiteering scheme by continuing to import Russian oil. Navarro expects punitive tariffs of 50% on Indian imports to take effect as planned next week. And this, just coming in the last few minutes, an hour or so, Fed Chair Jay Powell hinted at a possible rate cut next month. Speaking in Jackson Hole, the head of the U.S. Central Bank pointed to a cooling labor market and rising inflation. Powell called that mix unusual and said it could push the Fed to act to support growth. He also noted tariffs are still adding costs, but suggested that the impact may be short-lived. The comments come at a crucial moment, remember, for the Fed as the Trump administration launches a fierce campaign against Powell and other Fed officials, insisting the central bank should make drastic rate cuts. In other news now, an Indian-American man is demanding an apology from law enforcement in Georgia after having spent nearly 2 months in jail. Mahendra Patel was accused of kidnapping a 2-year-old in Walmart in March. However, those charges have now been dropped after surveillance video of the incident was obtained. The footage shows Patel interacting briefly with a woman on a mobility scooter. The woman claimed Patel tried to grab her 2-year-old son. Patel says he was merely trying to help the child from falling off the scooter. Moments later, a similar incident, but now a Walmart employee is seen trying to help as the child slides off the scooter. However, sometime later, as Patel is seen leaving the store, the woman decided to lodge a complaint against Patel, saying he tried to snatch her son. NDTV spoke exclusively to Patel, but first, here's the 911 call the woman made to police.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
Hi, I am at the Walmart.
Someone tried to snatch your baby?
Yes.
Was he white? Indian man?
Yes.
This just occurred, correct?
Probably not, 30 minutes ago, I thought. I'm sorry, I would have called sooner, but I got my baby back.
Mr. Patel, can't imagine what a harrowing experience this must have been for you. You were accused of kidnapping a child. The charges have been dropped. Tell us what happened in the middle of March after you entered a Walmart in the state of Georgia.
I went to Walmart to get a specific type of Tylenol, rapid release, for my mom, who lives with us. She's 86 years old, has a severe osteoarthritis. And I couldn't find a Tylenol after looking around. So I saw a lady in a handicap scooter, what they call motorized scooter. I asked her, she expressed willingness to help. And I realized she must be handicapped. She had 2 kids with her. And she started showing me. And when she turned, um, I instinctively that kid is going to fall. So I hold the kid for a brief second. And when she took a control of it, I let it go. And I thank her. And I said, I'll find somebody else to get a Tylenol, and moved on.
Okay, so you found the Tylenol medication, and as you were headed to the cash counter, you saw the same woman again, and I understand that she calmly gave you a thumbs up. Is that correct?
Yeah, she gives me thumbs up, and we never had an argument. We never talked about loudly. There was another employee next to where this incident happened. If he realized there was some problem, he could have jumped in. I go to checkout lane, paid using my credit card, and on the way out, I talked briefly with the greeter and walked out. Never thought twice about it. I think I spent more than 8 minutes there.
You spent 47 days in jail. What was that like?
People wanted to attack me. People said, hey, old man, if I take you in a shower and beat you up, what would you do? Another guy said, give me $500,000, I'll provide a protection in a jail. Some people say, what are you going to do? Are you going to chop up the kids and eat it up? Another guy said, if you ever get out of the jail, I'll take care of you outside. I lost 17 pounds while I was in jail. Um, I didn't get my medicine for days. I'm a vegetarian. Such a hard time getting any meal. I literally lived on a bread and peanut butter and a milk. While I was inside, my family was going through. So on the social media, people were saying, he's a scum of scum. He should be deported. He should go to El Salvador. We should burn him alive.
Tell us about how the CCTV footage helped you get out. What did the video reveal?
You will see that she is turning. She clipped that corner, and kids were almost falling, and it was like 2-3 seconds of interaction, and then you see in a whole grainy video that I'm walking calmly, passing her almost 3 times without any problem at all.
Okay, Mr. Patel, now what? Are you planning to sue the police and the district attorney's office?
No, I demanded, and I will demand on your show as well, that they publicly apologize and also state what concrete steps they're going to take in order for them to change their process, procedure, policies to prevent a next innocent person from getting apprehended. And I want to see that. I would like to see that. At this point, we are not thinking about anything else. That's what we are waiting for them to do.
That exclusive interview there with NDTV. Moving on now, uncertainty growing over US President Trump's push for peace between Ukraine and Russia. Moscow's latest statement suggesting Russia is stepping back from accepting any Western security guarantees, something that appeared to be agreeable when Trump and Putin met in Alaska. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky, along with European leaders, met Trump in Washington this week. The Europeans and Trump talked about security guarantees for Kyiv, which would involve sending troops into a post-war Ukraine. The US has ruled out sending any American soldiers, but there's talk of aerial support. But now Russia, though, says any foreign troops in Ukraine would be unacceptable. Meanwhile, President Zelensky said there was no sign that Moscow wanted any sort of talks after Russia carried out one of its biggest strikes on Ukraine Thursday. Russia's foreign minister has said no meeting between Putin and Zelensky will happen until an agenda is agreed upon. Let's take a closer look at this story now. We're joined by former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor. Thank you very much, Ambassador Taylor, for your time here. Ambassador Taylor, it's been really a dizzying 7 days. First, the Alaska summit with Putin, then the Europeans meeting with Trump. But Looks like things have stalled again because Moscow's massive attack on Ukraine on Thursday. Now, Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov saying no meeting until an agenda is agreed upon. Where are we at? Back to square one?
Well, Allister, first of all, no surprises there coming out of Moscow. All the things you just said. I mean, the continued bombardment, brutal, cruel, barbaric bombardment of Ukraine continues at incredible levels. And you continue to see what we have seen over and over and over from Russia stall. It is very clear that the Russians do not want to end this war. It is very clear they don't want a ceasefire. It's very clear they don't want to end the war with an agreement. It's very clear they don't want to sit down to talk with President Zelensky. It's not even clear they want to sit down and talk with President Trump. They want to stall because the Russians think that they can continue to bombard the Ukrainians until they give up. And that's futile, Allister. That is futile. The Ukrainians will not give up. Europeans, you referenced them, they're not giving up. The Americans have a recommitment. I'm very pleased that President Trump on Monday, not last Friday, but on Monday, was very positive, constructive. He talked about security guarantees that the Americans would participate in. He talked about, he listened to the Ukrainians and the other Europeans when they talked about ceasefire, which he had essentially given up on in Anchorage. Even though going into Anchorage, he had been full bore, guns ablazing for a ceasefire. When he sat down with President Putin, something changed. But Europeans and including the Ukrainians may have gotten him back on track on Monday on a ceasefire. So while I agree that the Anchorage discussion was disheartening, and I agree that there's no change in the Russian attitude, continuing to bomb and continue to stall, there seems to be some positive movement on the Ukrainian, European, American side on security guarantees. And one last thing, Allister, let me just say, it doesn't matter a bit what Lavrov says about security guarantees. Yeah, of course they're not going to agree. The whole point of a security guarantee is to deter the Russians from attacking again. Of course they're not going to agree. Why would we even ask if they want to agree? Right. We shouldn't even ask that question. No, the security guarantee is moving forward and there's planning going on, and that's the right thing.
Now, one way the U.S. can really arm twist Putin into peace is sanctions. We know of tariffs on Russian oil on India, yet unfairly countries like China and Turkey are untouched. What's going to really make Putin bend? Because that red carpet welcome that we saw in Alaska seems to have gone really nowhere.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is ludicrous for Putin to ask the Ukrainians to give up territory that the Ukrainians have been defending successfully since 2014. Since 2014, the Ukrainians have been defending that area, that exact area that Putin wants the Ukrainians just to give up, just voluntarily hand it over. That is strategic area. That's strategic heights. That's a well-defended, well-prepared, defensively prepared area that has kept the Russians at bay for, well, I keep track, just on this one, 1,276 days, but really going back to 2014, the Russians have tried to take that, and the Ukrainians have been defending it courageously and effectively, and they're not going to give it up. And it's ludicrous for Putin to ask them to give it up. No, I think the Europeans are exactly right.
Yes, indeed, Ambassador Taylor, what can really make Putin bend? Because clearly what happened last week in Alaska seems to have gone nowhere.
I'm glad it went nowhere, actually. But you're right. Sanctions matter. My view is, Allister, that when President Trump put those secondary tariffs on India, on exports of Indian goods to the United States, because India buys so much Russian oil. When that happened, I know it's painful. We can come back and talk about that. And you make the point that it's inconsistent because he didn't do it on other nations. All true, all true. But when Trump did that, Putin spooked. Putin panicked. Putin got very worried that maybe President Trump is serious about putting tariffs on people who buy my oil. And if people like India, like China, the two biggest purchasers of Russian oil, if they don't buy my oil, Putin said to himself, I'm in trouble. I'm in deep trouble. I can't fund my war with Ukraine. I'm in trouble. So, he said, I need to get together with Trump. I need to try to convince him that I'm really a partner for peace. And I'm really willing to have a conversation about ending this war, because not he was interested in peace or ending the war. No, because he wanted to avoid the secondary tariffs that Trump already showed he's willing to do by putting them on India. So Putin got what he wanted. He got what he wanted. He got his meeting. He got his picture taken. But more importantly to him, he diverted. He delayed further secondary tariffs or other sanctions. I mean, there are other sanctions that Trump has in his pocket that could do the same kind of damage to the Russian economy, in particular oil revenues, that he hasn't done yet, that Trump hasn't put on yet. But he can do that, and Putin knows that.
Right. William Taylor, thank you so much for your time here on Washington Watch. To our next story now. Are you of moral character? Have you had too many traffic violations or not paid child support? The Trump administration will be closely looking at that when granting U.S. citizenship. Here's what you need to know. Evaluating an applicant's moral character is not new. It's just that there will now be even greater emphasis on it. No longer is just absence of misconduct enough. So what will officers really be looking at? Well, things like community service, say with a charity. Other things like achievements, financial stability. Though, on the other hand, things like gambling or drug-related violations or too many traffic tickets, not paying your taxes as well on time could mean a rejection. Now, critics say the guidelines are vague and are merely a ploy to limit legal immigration. Now, protests in Washington, D.C. as President Trump's emergency order on crime keeps the capital under heavy federal control. But for local D.C. leaders, the spectacle is seen as a takeover, with critics calling it an occupation rather than a true commitment to law and order. Ridhima Kalia has the details.
We will continue to stick up for our neighbors! Free D.C.
The streets of Washington echo with anger. Protesters chanting "Free DC," facing off against troops, armored vehicles, and federal agents.
The idea that he's targeting us and persecuting us feels wrong to me. Well, that I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss, the neighbors.
And just steps away at Union Station, a very different scene. Vice President J.D. Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and White House advisor Stephen Miller flipping burgers for National Guard troops, booed by nearby crowds.
We have workers and everyday people terrified to go to work around Washington, D.C. We have communities showing up for their neighbors. The power is in the people, and that is why Hegseth and J.D. Vance are here today, because they're afraid.
Have a good time, fellas.
President Trump himself has gone further, hand-delivering hamburgers and pizzas to troops at a Park Police Operations Center, carrying a microphone, thanking officers for their work, and cracking jokes about joining them on patrol. Since 11th of August, when Trump declared a crime emergency and seized control of Washington's police, nearly 2,000 National Guard troops have been deployed, many imported from Republican-led states. Alongside them, federal officers from the FBI, DEA, ICE, and more.
You know, they also had a life before they became homeless, you know? Everybody got to have a heart for somebody. Some nowadays, you know, definitely homeless. I feel safe walking through the city each and every day. I feel safe, so we don't need troops in the city.
Downtown DC now looks like a militarized zone. Armored vehicles on Constitution Avenue. Agents manning metro shops. Helicopters overhead. But here's the contradiction. Local officials say crime is already falling. Violent crime is down 26% this year. Robberies down double digits. Trump called those statistics phony numbers. Claims that are now under Justice Department's review. At the same time, the administration is touting its own matrix. Attorney General Pam Bondi says 630 arrests, 86 illegal guns seized, and dozens of homeless encampments cleared. For the mayor, the challenge is existential, pushing back against a federal takeover. The White House calls it restoring order.
Free DC!
Protesters call it an occupation. And as Vice President Vance declares, we brought some law and order back. The chants on the streets of Free DC are only growing louder. With Rhythm Arcadia, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
At a time when the Trump administration is clamping down on homeless camps in D.C., 50 minutes away in Virginia is an Indian woman helping the less fortunate. Here's that report.
Forget multi-millionaire, I'm not even a millionaire. I'm Nupur Punjabi. I sold my IT staffing business to start a non-profit kitchen here in Virginia, US. The name of the kitchen, Anna Sudha. Anna means food and Sudha means nectar of love. So the mission is to spread love through food. So I was busy running a IT staffing business. I grew it from scratch. When I lost my mother and then COVID hit, pretty much my self-discovery process started. That's when this idea of starting a non-profit kitchen came about. I sold my IT staffing business. You know, people may perceive me as somebody who had a lot of money, who didn't have to worry about anything, and so it was easy to start this, but it's definitely not like that. I just want to say I'm not a millionaire. So homelessness is a reality here in the US. We are donating 6,500 meals a month to different shelters. The Indian community always wants to donate vegetarian food. Every day feeding them vegetarian food doesn't make sense. So what we donate is comfort food like pasta, noodles, and then we just add cooked and frozen chicken on top. Oh, folks love chickpeas, butter chicken, and samosas.
This is one of my favorite Indian foods. I live under a bridge in a tent. This place has helped me to survive over the last few months. You know, they serve all different dishes, but I love the dishes from India.
We have today a team of 300 volunteers, so it's just become a whole volunteer movement.
Truly so gratifying to be able to work with different people and all come together for a community cause.
When we go to shelters to drop off food, they know they're expecting our food.
I didn't really know a lot, but they taught me how to do dosas and the uttapams and masala dosas.
So one of the fundraiser we do is our summer cooking camp to make this kitchen sustainable, where parents pay for their kids' classes, then they come here cook. Like these are one of the glimpses from the cooking camp of the kids. Yeah.
After running this kitchen for 4 years, I feel a sense of deep personal satisfaction. The kitchen is my happy place.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma. but so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pamelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest countries, trachoma is torture. It's a painful infection often spread by flies, and it's destroying children's eyesight. But it could be stopped if you help today. By calling 0800 038 4926 and giving £1 a week to Sightsavers, you can help make sure children get the treatment they desperately need. You'll help us bring them the medicines and the care that can treat infections. And that means you'll be helping to save children from the torture of trachoma and a life of blindness. Please help us reach them. Call 0800 038 4926. Text C13 to 82727 or go online and give just £1 a week now. Because we need you to help save the sight of children like Nananga. We need you to help save them from the torture of trachoma.
With II's low flat pension fees, you could retire with more.
Really?
Open an interactive investor personal pension today.
When I woke up, they said, Alyssa, you've got leukemia. We found out that the chemo wasn't working.
Cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK, but innovative new treatments could help beat cancer for more children like Allister.
I'm cancer-free now.
Text, call or search to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital. So together, we can save more lives.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Evlo can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000, whether it's for home improvements or for some of life's big moments. Evlo looks beyond your credit score and always takes a case-by-case approach. Visit evlo.co.uk to get your conditional decision in minutes.
For such gentle souls, working donkeys in the Middle East lead terribly hard lives. For such trusting animals, donkeys are too often abused and exploited. These sensitive, loyal animals often suffer the cruelest pain. And now, conflicts in the Middle East have seen donkeys terribly injured, malnourished, and in desperate need of care. The cost of medications has soared, but there is something you can do. Please call Safe Haven for Donkeys on 0800 144 5802 or go online and give a life-saving gift of just £2 a month. Safe Haven for Donkeys is dedicated to transforming lives in Gaza, the West Bank, Israel, and Egypt. Your gift means our mobile vet clinics can provide emergency treatment for injured donkeys. We heal wounds and ensure donkeys aren't suffering. We also work with local communities, helping them to look after and cherish their donkeys. You'll help us make sure there's always a place at our sanctuaries for abandoned or injured donkeys who have nowhere else to turn. Please call 0800 144 5802, text SAFE4 to 84902, go online or scan the QR code and give just £2 a month. Help save a donkey's life today.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war.
Friday evening, lots lined up over the next 60 minutes with me, Vida Raghav, including our special focus on the constitutional amendment bill to remove jailed politicians from office, and also the Dharmasthala controversy in Karnataka and the political face-off over it. But first up, to that sharp national face-off over the 130th constitutional amendment bill, which, if passed in its present form by Parliament, would mean that a minister, chief minister, or even the Prime Minister have to vacate office if they're in custody for 30 days or more in a crime that could be punishable with 5 years of imprisonment or more. Several arguments around that bill. Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah kept up their offensive on the opposition in defending the bill today. The opposition had torn copies of the bill, remember, and said that it will only give the government more powers to target opposition leaders, foist cases on them, and effect political changes in opposition-ruled states. If the Prime Minister took on the opposition at a rally in Bihar, the Home Minister targeted Arvind Kejriwal and also the DMK in Tamil Nadu for holding on to office even while in jail and forcing the government to bring in the legislation. Listen in.
एनडीए सरकार भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ एक ऐसा कानून लाई है जिसके दायरे में देश का प्रधानमंत्री भी है। जब ये कानून बन जाएगा तो प्रधानमंत्री हो या मुख्यमंत्री या फिर कोई भी मंत्री, उसे गिरफ्तारी के 30 दिन के अंदर जमानत लेनी होगी और अगर जमानत नहीं मिली तो 31वें दिन उसे कुर्सी छोड़नी पड़ेगी।
दिल्ली में एक घटना हुई, इसके पहले कई सारे मुख्यमंत्री मंत्री जेल में गए, सबने इस्तीफा दे दिया है जेल में जाने से पहले। अब एक घटना हुई कि दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री जेल में जाने के बाद जेल से सरकार चलाते थे। तो संविधान बदलना चाहिए या नहीं बदलना चाहिए? और अब तक बीजेपी की भी सरकार रही, हमने नहीं बदला क्योंकि ऐसी जरूरत नहीं पड़ी थी। अगर केजरीवाल जी इस्तीफा दे देते तो आज भी न बदलते। मगर मैं मानता हूं कि लोकतंत्र के अंदर नैतिकता का स्तर टिकाने की जिम्मेदारी पक्ष और विपक्ष दोनों की।
Well, there are compelling arguments that have been made by both sides, but I spoke a short while ago to eminent jurist Harish Salve on this bill. Let's listen in. Joining me now is one of India's most respected jurists, former Solicitor General of India, Harish Salve. Sir, thanks very much for speaking to us, Mr. Salve. There's been sharp exchange over the constitutional amendment bill, which proposes that a chief minister, prime minister, or any minister will lose office if they're in custody for 30 days or more in a criminal case that could be punishable with 5 years of imprisonment or more. While the bill aims to enforce moral and constitutional standards on those facing cases, the argument against it is that it could lead to targeting of opposition leaders and effecting political changes in a vitiated political atmosphere. Where do you stand on this, sir?
First of all, I think it's a crying shame that we need such a bill. The fact that somebody is asserting that they should have the right to discharge a solemn duty, a ministerial duty, from a prison cell, despite the highest court in the land having said that they deserve to be in a prison cell. In pre-trial custody, undoubtedly, but in pre-trial custody. The fact that such an assertion is being made makes me wonder, have we really lost touch with our democracy? 1991, when the Supreme Court started the, and I'm bold to say, the ill-conceived investigations into the giant Hawala diaries, nobody was arrested, but everybody who was charged resigned. Including, I think, Mr. Advani, who was then leader of the opposition, who said, I will not come back and join public life till I have cleared my name. To the year 2000, when Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav made his wife the chief minister and became what in common parlance was called the de facto chief minister. And I have seen photographs of all the Lal Batti cars outside Beor jail and meeting being held inside the Beor jail with all the ministers present. So, but that at least had a fig leaf. And now we've seen that fig leaf fall away. So this is where we are. And when we hit such a rock bottom, then we have to do something. And all sorts of things are being said about this bill. You know, we have now this new breed of discussion in which one-liners are everything. So like a scattergun approach, you throw in 3 or 4 established principles of law and say all of them are violated, and therefore it violates the most famous phrase of the politicians today, basic structure of the Constitution. It's a nonsense to suggest any such thing as that.
So when you say that, sir, what would be your argument to those who turn around and say that we are in an atmosphere where constitutional offices have been used against political, in political disputes against the opposition leaders, and they're saying that this could open the door for greater misuse of constitutional office, whether it's the governor's office.
So let's deconstruct that. Do we accept then in principle that where it's a genuine arrest, this should apply? This should only not apply where there is a false arrest. Because the argument is there could be a false arrest. See, there is no argument on principle that a person who's arrested should be allowed to continue in office. The allegation is of abuse. Now, this allegation of abuse therefore admits the basic premise that, well, in principle, you are right. If somebody is arrested, he should not be in office. But if it is a false arrest, taking him away from office is wrong. Who decides whether it's a false arrest or not? You can't be self-certifying this. So our constitution leaves it to the judiciary. And our Supreme Court has entertained bail petitions by all these eminent people in public life who have been charged by the government. And the Supreme Court has said, on the facts of the case, sorry, you are not entitled to come out. So if it is a false case, either you say it's a vote of no confidence against our judiciary. So for the common man, the judiciary is to be trusted. For the businessman, the judiciary is to be trusted. For everybody else, the judiciary is to be trusted. But when it comes to people holding high office, the judiciary is not to be trusted. I mean, is that the argument? So you are by definition a person whom the courts and most likely the highest court in the country has said, sorry, on the allegations against you and on the material against you, you are rightly in custody. You're not disqualified from anything. You're only told you will not run your Sachivalaya from a prison cell. That destroys democracy. I'm sorry. I have a very different understanding of democracy.
No, you're making a very, very important point there. And I think, the argument in favor of the bill has been spearheaded on the fact that Arvind Kejriwal stayed in office despite being behind bars. When we deconstruct this argument in terms of going forward, how do we see this entire exchange that's playing out between the opposition and the government at the Mount? Do you believe that this is a reflection of lack of faith in the judicial process, or do you believe that this is more a reflection of the political realities at the moment?
I think it's a reflection of a fundamental change in value systems. If you think a ministerial office is a sacred duty, a very high office which you are discharging a sacred duty by discharging, then to accept the principle that and this duty cannot be discharged effectively from a prison cell is perfectly sensible. But if you think of office as something which you worked very hard, spent a lot of money to earn, and you are speaking with a sense of entitlement, it's like a quasi-property, an office. Then you say, merely on my arrest, am I to lose my property? I'm sorry, I think that's the real mindset. And let us not be deceived by all the smoke around, the will of the voter and the public will. I do not think the Indian voter has ever voted for a system in which a person who has committed a serious offense would be allowed to be a minister. No system ever countenances this. No if you do research, I doubt if you will find a single instance of a prime minister or somebody or a head of government or a senior person holding office has been running his office from a jail cell. There's something which has gone seriously wrong. We should never have needed this law. Current events tell you maybe you need this law because this mindset has changed.
Sir, you're a very, very respected voice. And I know a very senior lawyer who once told me that when Mr. Salve speaks, everybody else listens. You have friends across the aisle. There are legal jurists on either side of the aisle. What would you like to tell those who are fiercely opposing this bill as one that could take away their rights? And, some even described it as a punishment without a trial as far as a political office is concerned. What would your message be?
See, that is why I have a rule which I follow. If I'm appearing in a case, I never make public comment. If I had accepted a brief to challenge this law, I would have said all sorts of things against this law in a court of law. I would have thought of all the nice points which I can say. But if I'm speaking on your channel, it only means I have no engagement with this law. I'm viewing it as a citizen of India and as a person who's a student of law. If you have political or legal compulsions, those who are in public life and also lawyers, I can understand their arguments. And I've put on the various interviews which I've had today on this issue, I've put my views across. You may agree, you may disagree. I'm not an intellectual czar who feels my view is the only view. But these are my points. My points are presumption of innocence has nothing to do with this. Presumption of innocence is a legal principle in which the prosecution has to bring home your guilt unless when you are innocent until the prosecution brings home your guilt. But that doesn't mean there can't be pre-trial arrest. Arrest, whether it is post-conviction or pre-conviction, an arrest takes away your most precious right, the freedom. Your liberties are taken away. And the liberties of Indian citizens are taken away, not people in high public office. Everybody, as an Indian citizen, has the same right to liberty, whether you live in a mud hut somewhere or whether you live in a palace. You have the same right to liberty, and it is as precious. This is not a debate about personal liberties. This is not a debate about why the courts have drifted away from the old adage, bail not jail. Bail is the rule, jail is the exception. Let's have a debate on that. Let's have a debate on what's wrong with the PMLA law. Let's have a debate on what's wrong in the Supreme Court judgment in Vijay Madan Lal. But that's a separate debate, because I think it is equally wrong to arrest a businessman and subject him to that law. So you are not a privileged class. This is the trouble. You now think of yourself as a privileged class. So let's not conflate the debate about the ED and the PMLA with the debate on whether you should be allowed to run your office from jail. What about a man arrested for murder? What about a man arrested for a rape, for kidnapping, for extortion? If such a, or owning an illegal weapon in a sensitive area, 5 years plus, that's a serious offense. And if you are prima facie denied bail by a court, ED has no role to play. Should you be allowed to continue in office? So what we have is, we have ED who's grabbing front page news because they are arresting prominent people. And then layered on top is an argument that because ED has been arresting people in public life, therefore it's political opportunism. And do you think our Supreme Court of India is so naive that it will not see through a false case from a true one? So is this a vote of no confidence against the Supreme Court?
So you're technically saying, if I may put it in a nutshell, two wrongs don't make a right. Keep this differently. This is about a person with an elected office being allowed to run that office, which is a constitutional responsibility to the people from a jail cell. And that's not acceptable. I just have one final question to you, sir. When we see this debate, and I ask you this, while you have distinguished between the clear points in this case vis-a-vis the other cases that are there, do you see this as a larger reflection of a larger vitiated atmosphere where the ruling forces and the opposition are not able to bridge their divide, and there is an absolute atmosphere of distrust?
Well, let's be very clear, and I don't, unfortunately, I see this, or rather, it is heartening to see that this is not only in India. We see this happening across the Atlantic also. You've seen the kind of things which are happening where legislators are sought to be arrested because they want to abstain from voting on a bill, etc. So this kind of trouble of breakdown of a dialogue is unfortunate in India. I don't like making political comments because I don't understand politics. My political comments are very biased and based on my own personal prejudices. So that's why I never get into an arena of public debate. But yes, it is sad that we have reached such a high level of divide, and the vocabulary of this dialogue has become so acerbic. But that's a sign of the times, I suppose.
That's a sign of the times, you say, sir. May I just persist and ask you one final question? Does it make you feel sad that a politician would turn around and say, no, I don't want to vacate an office despite having a case of being behind bars, or want to fight for the right to stay there in office?
As an Indian, it makes me really wonder. My grandfather went to jail, fought the British, and then joined the Constituent Assembly and framed this constitution. We have worked all our life as students of constitutional law in the court. The fact that you even hear such an argument saddens me.
Right. Thanks very much there, Mr. Harish Salve, for putting those points across. You're making a very, very strong and nuanced point, both in terms of law and in terms of moral values as far as this bill is concerned. But of course, the opposition has its own concerns in terms of political victimization. But thanks very much, Mr. Harish Salve, for speaking to us here. Well, that's Mr. Salve's arguments. Joining us this evening, Nigat Abbas of the Congress, R.P. Singh of the BJP, senior journalist and NDTV's Jayanta Ghoshal, and Professor Sajjan Kumar, who follows Bihar very closely. I want to begin with you, Nigat Abbas. You heard Harish Salve there. The argument being made is that the misuse of PMLA and ED are one issue. But this bill is about a politician holding on to office while in jail. It's both morally and constitutionally untenable, many would argue. Why are you against the bill?
You know, since our childhood, first of all, good evening to all our viewers, but since our childhood, we've heard one thing, that the rule of law is you're innocent until proven guilty. But, you know, it is a clear violation. This bill is a clear violation of Article 21 because mere arrest or an FIR or also the custody is never equals to a guilt. And instead of that, the bill punishes the person without any kind of jurisdiction, or it goes against the due process of law. That is what the problem is. I mean, in an era where we've seen clearly that how BJP has completely misused the power of ED and CBI over certain years, we've seen that how cruel they've become, and they've always targeted the leaders of opposition, the chief ministers who comes from the opposition parties and the states which are run by either Congress or any other party which is in the opposition right now. They're the only ones who are being targeted. I mean, it is the first government who has misused so much. So how do you establish that after you bring in this bill, it will not be again adding on to the power of you using this bill against only the leaders of the opposition, only to the opposition leaders? Because what we see, like Amit Shah ji just said, you know, ki hum logo ko ye karna chahiye. I really want to ask that, you know, it is a game of that you are kind of a washing machine who is claiming to be a detergent now, because when we talk about Ajit Pawar, we talk about Eknath Shinde, we talk about the leaders like Hemant Biswa Sarma, who once upon a time were serious criminals in the eyes of Bharatiya Janata Party, but overnight they became so clear the moment they joined Bharatiya Janata Party. So I clearly say it is no more a Modi Sarkar. It is a Surf Excel Sarkar. Because if you're in BJP, you are clean, but you're in opposition, you're jail. So what is happening right now is a clear political vendetta. That is the problem. And how do you establish?
No, Nigat, point taken. ED, PMLA, abuse of constitutional office is one side. I'm asking you a specific point. The point is one of morality as well as one of constitutional tenability, that if somebody has been arrested, and the argument being made is that there are several judicial legal recourses to the person who's been arrested. If they've been arrested and they are in jail, do they have the moral and constitutional right to hold on to a constitutional office? That's the core question.
But where is that law then? Then you are proven, until you're proven guilty, you are innocent. I mean, how do you establish that once you're put behind the bars, you're 100% a criminal without going to the court? And SC has also questioned, the Supreme Court has questioned. I mean, let's just eliminate the system of democracy, let's just eliminate the system of jurisdiction.
As far as PMLA is concerned. The point being made is that a minister cannot
be a different yardstick vis-a-vis somebody else. I just have one question. You know, it is coming from a government whose its own MPs, member of parliaments, of 40%, they have criminal charges against them. let's just eliminate them first. I mean, घर से सफाई शुरू कर देते हैं ना. Why can't you do that first in your own home? झाड़ू लगाओ घर पे, and then you come to the leader of opposition. Because how well we know, because this is the party, this is the government who has established on its own that how well we know this is going to be a misuse by the government of India, which is the Modi government. Sorry, a Surf Excel government.
Okay.
This is the
Mr.
government who just cleans the people who once upon a night were criminals. 70,000 crore के इन लोगों ने आरोप लगाए, उसके overnight अजीत पवार clean हो जाते हैं. कैसे? कौन सा detergent लाए अमित शाह जी और नरेंद्र मोदी जी? And Amit Shah, bringing back to Amit Shah, why did he not, when he was a Taripar, why did he not resign on the responsibility? I mean, why are you coming today and talking about this only because you want to misuse?
Let me take this question across to R.P. Singh. R.P. Singh, the point the opposition is making is also a practical point. They are saying that this government has misused Enforcement Directorate and other agencies to foist cases on opposition leaders and hence will use this bill to destabilize elected democratic governments of opposition parties. How do you respond?
First, good evening to all your viewers and my co-panelists, and especially to Nigat. I'll appreciate Nigat will now hear patiently. I heard her patiently and never intervened in between. Nigat, you raised certain questions and very printed and very important questions. Let me take up those and then I'll come to your other points also. Talking about the ED and PMLA being misused. ED and PMLA is not above court. And if I rightly remember, Supreme Court in recent one of this observation or decision also said that bail is the first right even in ED case, not the jail. So, but issue is between morality and power. I'll name 3 people, you'll understand which. Al-Qaeda Advani resigned the moment he was accused of a case and he didn't take any public office till the time he was acquitted out of this. Badran Khurana ji, Amit Shah ji. They never took any public office till the time there were questions on them. But the moment they were acquitted, they came back to the power or they again took the public office. But again, if someone wants to run a government from jail, I mean, that's what has happened. A minister, chief minister was running a government from the jail and Congress party was supporting that chief minister saying, no, he can run a government from the jail. How is it possible? A parallel was him.
R.P. Singh. No, I will ask you a subsequent question to it. The argument of the opposition is that the Enforcement Directorate and central agencies have never been misused at this scale. The way opposition leaders have been foisted with cases, it does put a danger to democratically elected governments.
Mr. Rahul Gandhi is facing the charges and is out on bail. When did the case started? It never started in our time. Lalu Yadav ji stayed in jail. It was not us who sent him behind jail. It was only the UPA period when it happened. Kani Mozi, D. Raja. Did we send them to jail? The issue is, there's a court. There is rule of law. And then anyone can get a bail. Anyone who is innocent can always get a bail within 100 days. And not see with the only political dimension. Because that a leader who is the leader of the political party and a chief minister, he wants to operate from jail, although let the administration suffer. Now, give me another second. I'll add 2 more names and that will be another dimension to this. Amrit Pal Singh shall be in jail and should be in parliament. Engineer Rashid should be in jail and should be attending parliament. Tell me that. Both are in cases which are cases raising war against the nation.
Nigat, just very quick response. We need to trust the judicial system before I go to Jayanta Ghoshal.
No, I just want to ask one question. My question is very simple. Are we still living in a democracy or we are in an anarchy? Because I want to understand who gives the opportunity and the right to this sitting government, Modi government, to display the people's mandate just because the chief minister is put behind the bar without any judicial practice, without any law, without any due process of law. I just want to ask one question. I mean, you can't overnight just displace the people's mandate, put the constitution, put the democracy in one folder which is a deleted folder.
I respect you. You're a very fiery orator, but I'll appreciate. Name one case where it didn't happen without the judicial scrutiny. I mean, immediately, and then I'm giving you a case. Hemant Soren got a bail, and he became the chief minister later on. Mr. Kejriwal got a bail. Give me a second. Allow me to complete.
One question.
Can I complete?
Go ahead, very quickly.
So, Mr. Kejriwal came out on a bail with certain conditions that he can't be part of any government meeting, he can't go to the office, he can't see the files. And he was left with no other option than to resign. But even then, that lady said, my seat next to me, she placed a seat next to her and said, this is Arvind Kejriwal's seat. And this is shame on the nation in Indian democracy.
All right, you're making Jayanta Ghoshal. Let me come to you now. There are two questions here. One minute, Nigat. I'll come back to you at the end. Jayanta Ghoshal, there are two issues here. One is the abuse of forces and foisting of cases. The other is the issue of governing or holding a constitutional office from jail. So there are constitutional, moral issues as well as practical political issues. How do we reconcile the three?
Number one, when Mr. Amit Shah resigned in 2010, I found Congress was victorious on that day, and Congress said that Amit Shah did the right thing. Congress didn't say on that day that it is not needed and Amit Shah can run Home Ministry of Gujarat from jail. So if you do politics, because I don't want to discuss, I am not a representative of any political party, and I want to say only one thing, that government has majority. They have tried to introduce the bill. If you have any objection, you can discuss. And it is going to the select committee, standing committee. That is the standard practice. Earlier, in Congress regime, I was a reporter. Last 40 years I'm covering. There was no necessity to send the bill to the parliamentary committee. Through voice vote also, with your majority, you can pass the bill. That Mr. Modi's government didn't. So you have the scope for discussion, dialogue, everything. And what opposition parties they are doing, they have some apprehension. And they are raising the issue. Fair enough. You can talk, you can discuss, but if you want to destabilize the government and if you can make the issue, Manmohan Singh issued a statement. I was there in that press conference. Manmohan Singh said that I don't like the charge-sheeted minister in my cabinet. And that time it was hangama. You just remember what happened on that day. I was, and he said in abroad, I was accompanying journalists. And Manmohan Singh,
DMK was forced to make A. Raja resign.
Yeah. So these are the issues. So when CBI is in Congress regime, Indian media used to write, we used to write Congress Bureau of Investigation. So now BJP is in power and Congress is making allegations. So I think that what Amit Shah again and again saying, that the question of morality and the constitutional responsibility also should be included in the legislation. In the legislation, you can include in future. Today BJP is in power. If tomorrow, and you have included Prime Minister's name. What Lokpal Bill's philosophy was that? Anna Hazare's movement was there. And now Prime Minister is ready to include his name.
You're making a very important point. Let me get to Sajjan Kumar because I want to bring the other facet of this. How does the political optics play out, Sajjan Kumar? Because a politician to say that I will not leave office when I'm going to face a case, vis-a-vis a politician saying that I am being forced to vacate office because I'm an opposition party and the government is constantly targeting him. How does this play out in popular narrative? Who has the moral higher ground?
The popular narrative has to be seen from two vantage points. One, the core supporters of the party, respective parties. Now, of course, they always go by a sense of commitment and always see conspiracy, fear of vested interest whenever the rival party or ruling party or opposition trying to bring out something that we see. But
How was roaming in Italy?
Oh, stunning. Didn't cost me a penny.
New fella paid?
No, hun. Labara. No roaming fees.
Labara, the smarter mobile network.
Now, here's a big offer worth checking out. In People's Postcode Lottery's October draws, there's a share of £23.2 million to be won.
And to celebrate our brand new TV game show, Win Win, we're offering new players the first month free when you sign up. For your first month's free entry, sign up before midnight on the 30th of September.
A share of £23.2 million could be yours, but only if your door is in the draw.
When you love donkeys as much as I do, it's really hard to believe that anyone could hurt them. But so many in the UK are suffering right now. Donkeys like Timmy and Tommy. We found them imprisoned in filthy conditions, desperately underweight and in terrible pain. And Echo, he had been abandoned and left with overgrown, twisted hooves. Every step he took was agony. He couldn't have survived like this much longer. Donkeys are such beautiful, sensitive animals, and it's so wrong knowing that they're still being mistreated in our country today.
If you care about what happens to our precious donkeys, please, will you do something to help protect them? You can by calling 0800 035 7805 and giving £2 a month to the Donkey Sanctuary. When you do, you will help a welfare advisor like Sally rescue donkeys and bring them to safety. You'll help us treat the sick, heal the injured, and give them all the love they need.
It's amazing to see donkeys finally have the happy lives they so deserve.
So please, help us keep our donkeys safe from harm. Call 0800 035 7805 or text Rescue 6 to 78866 and give £2 a month to the Donkey Sanctuary. Because so many donkeys like Timmy and Tommy are cruelly suffering. Please help us protect them right now.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Evlo can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000. Get your conditional decision in minutes.
We know that living with diabetes can make daily life a challenge, and we're here to help.
I felt very low with the diagnosis and very lonely as well, and embarrassed.
I think people don't necessarily realise the impact that being diabetic can have on you, and the amount of extra decisions you have to make a day through carb counting every single thing you eat.
If you're struggling with the everyday challenges diabetes can bring, become a Diabetes UK member today. Receive this informative welcome pack and Balance magazine.
Balance magazine has been very good in giving me tips to manage my diabetes on a day-to-day basis.
One of the things I was recommended to do was exercise. What motivated me was my love of dance, and I got that back.
Join a community that really understands. Call 0800 035 7605 or go online to become a member for just £3 a month.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, you're guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Call Post Office on 0800 171 2211.
Don't let gaps in your travel insurance spoil your holiday. Go without the doubt. Insure and go. Call 0800 198 0198.
Mohit, you are known for your music. All your films, musics stay with us till today. I'm a millennial and those music are kind of music. So whenever we say Mohit Suri film aa raha hai, we know the music will be good, right? It's a given. So you really work hard. But is this always like how you create your music? You need everything in place, the mood, the lighting, even when the person is in the studio and just singing. And also, how did you select your musicians that this person's voice is perfect for this song?
That's what I think, the amount you give to a song, that's how long it will last, I think. Everyone does the programming, everyone writes the words, everyone makes the thing. But the thing is how much you give, how much of heart you give to the lyrics or to the music or to the melody or to the singing. That's how long the song will last, is what I genuinely feel. If you don't give that love, you're not going to get it back. It's just a simple debit and credit procedure, I think, with the audience. I genuinely feel I don't have any special skill. I don't know any scale or anything else. It's just that I enjoy that process a lot. Give me an evening to just go for a film party or something, I'll skip it. But you give me like a struggling musician to go who has a great tune, some new guys, chill all night with them, I can do that. I can just sit there, make music and stuff like that. We just did that recently. Fahim came down. He just surprised us, and we met in my Bandra office, and Han was there, Aneet was there, and he made me hear his other songs and stuff like that. But it was it's so much fun, because I just think making music, I mean, film, you still get to see something. I think music is so amazing. I mean, you don't need to see anything. It's in the air, and suddenly it just comes together, and it's just, you can just feel it. And something you hear makes you feel something. It's just magical.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Rajasthan is history, culture, and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture, and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years.
Madhya Pradesh is the heart of India, and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power, what is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux. From conflict to India's crowning glory, I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
Welcome back now to the sharp exchange over allegations of mass burials and murders in the temple town of Dharmasthala, while the state government special investigating team in Karnataka has been digging to verify allegations of the mass burials made by a former sanitary worker whose identity has been closely guarded. The BJP has been targeting the state government for setting up an SIT and probing the issue, while the Rajya Sabha MP Virendra Hegde, who's from the Dharmasthala Manjunatha Swami Temple Trust, has publicly alleged of a smear campaign against the Temple Trust. The government has refuted the allegations and said it's willing to wait for the SIT to file its findings. That's going to be very closely watched. Joining us now, B.Y. Vijayendra, BJP State President, who's made allegations against the state government. Thanks, Vijayendra, for speaking to us here on NDTV. Why is the BJP jumping the gun and declaring that it's a smear campaign even before the SIT report and findings are made public in a case with such serious allegations?
First of all, thanks Veer, thanks for having me on NDTV. As far as Dharmasthala episode is concerned, BJP is not coming to conclusion. We are not jumping the ship. If at all, if BJP wanted to do politics, Bharatiya Janata Party would have hit the streets on the day one when Siddaramaiah government constituted SIT. But BJP did not do so. In fact, we welcomed state government's decision of constituting SIT, Special Investigation Team. Now, the issue is, even today, we are not opposing the investigation. Investigation has to be carried out. Investigation has to be carried out fairly, and it has to, investigation has to go on a fast track basis. They can't prolong like this. Why BJP is come to the streets today? The reason is crores and crores of devotees of Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwara temple, they are really upset with the false propaganda that has been carried out against Dharmasthala temple. See, when Hindu Karyakarta, they posted in social media against the state government, Siddaramaiah government did not waste even a single minute. Next day, FIR was lodged against our party worker, Hindu Karyakarta, and they have been arrested in humpty number of cases. But in this episode, keeping aside the SIT investigation, our only point is why Siddaramaiah government is failing to curtail or to stop this false propaganda which is going on relentlessly in the social media. This is the only point which are trying to ask Siddaramaiah government. But even today, those false propaganda people, they have not been stopped. It's still going on in the social media. That is the concern of the people of Karnataka and also Bharatiya Janata Party.
You say false propaganda, others will say differently. When you say that, what do you expect from the state government at the moment? The allegations are extremely serious in nature. The SIT is investigating the case. What do you expect from the state government specifically at this stage?
You're absolutely correct, Mr. Raghavji. Allegations are very serious. The people of Karnataka wants truth should come out. But here, if you remember Dinesh Gundurao, the district in charge minister's statement, Dinesh Gundurao had said, state government was forced to constitute SIT because of the pressure created or exerted by a few communist organizations. Because of the pressure, Siddaramaiah was forced to constitute SIT. And one thing you should remember, couple of weeks back, on Saturday evening, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah gives a statement, no, state government is not going to constitute any SIT. But next day morning, on Sunday morning, Siddaramaiah changes his statement. He already gave a permission to constitute an SIT. Okay, we are okay with the SIT. But now, even after 15-20 days, investigation is not completed. So our demand is investigation should be completed immediately without any further delay. Truth should prevail, truth should come out. Secondly, as per D.K. Shivkumar's statement, there is a big conspiracy behind this Dharmasthala episode. When Deputy Chief Minister himself has given such a statement, our demand is, Bharatiya Janata Party's demand is, who are the people who are behind this complaint? Which are those organizations which are working along with this complainant? Those people needs to be identified. If at all, proper investigation is required to identify those conspirators also. And our demand is, investigation should be completed and the conspirators, they needs to be exposed. State government should take action against those conspirators also. That is our demand.
I'll put this question across to Dinesh Gundurao as well shortly, but some BJP leaders have blamed specific individuals as state BJP president in Karnataka. Are you specifically blaming any one individual or leader for this alleged conspiracy?
See, I don't want to come to conclusion on this particular issue. I will repeat it again. D.K. Shivkumar himself has said that there is a big conspiracy. And we have been hearing a few names of Congress leaders also. So my only request to the government or with the Chief Minister is, see, this issue is pertaining to Dharmasthala temple. There is a strong belief, sentiments about this Dharmasthala temple. Crores and crores of people follow this Dharmasthala temple. Now those devotees have been hurt. They have been hurt very badly because of the false propaganda. So our demand is, let government identify the persons who are behind this. So I don't want to name anybody or names of any individual, but it's the responsibility, duty of the investigation team, it's the responsibility of the state government to identify such persons who are behind this conspiracy.
Okay, thanks very much there, B.Y. Vijendra. You're saying put all the information out in public and make sure there is a conclusion as soon as possible. That was the state's BJP President, B.Y. Vijendra. Let me also put those very questions that he has raised across to the Congress Minister in charge of Dakshin Kannada district where Dharmasthala comes and the state's Health Minister, Dinesh Gundu Rao. Listen in. Joining me now is Karnataka Health Minister and the Minister in charge of the Dakshin Kannada region, Dinesh Gundu Rao. Dinesh, the accusation being made by the BJP is that the SIT was formed under pressure from the government, and they are pointing to even the Deputy Chief Minister's statement for it, claiming that it is a smear campaign. What's the government's response?
See, when the SIT was formed, it was welcomed by everybody, including the BJP. Now they, are playing a double game here, and there was a lot of pressure in that sense that I myself had said that the Dakshin Kannada police can handle this. That is what I had also told. But there was so much of, it had become an international, national sensational news, and so many people were saying so many things. And even if I had done the investigation by our Dakshina Kannada police, they would have always been saying they were under some pressure, and they've all kinds of allegations, false allegations would have been made. So government in its wisdom decided that there should not be any allegation of any sort. Let there be a clear-cut investigation. So SIT was formed, and everybody welcomed it. Nobody said it should not have been formed, including the BJP. Okay, so that is one. Second thing is now the SIT went about its job very professionally. And Congress party didn't, neither in the government nor as a party, did we ever issue any kind of statement which was either provocative or misleading. And we wanted the truth to come out, and the truth is coming out. And as per that, the government is acting, the police is acting. Now for BJP, the thing is now they want to exploit this somehow for their own benefit. That's all. There's no public interest in this. It's only their own private interest to exploit it politically for their own benefit. So now that they're suddenly playing up, trying to sensationalize it, trying to make all kinds of false allegations. And I don't think this holds much water, because people know that we've done a very professional job and there's been no interference. And the investigation will continue. And we are seeing, the police are acting on many other issues. They've even made some arrests on some other people who are involved in this. So I think this BJP's usual ploy of using religion to because they have no other issue, they always use religion as the ultimate card, whether it's Prime Minister Modi or anybody. This is the card they always play.